up, everybody? Welcome to the Simply People podcast. I'm your host, Dax Vanderwall, and this is season 1, officially, of the Simply People podcast. And this is actually the last episode of season 1, all about the magic of generosity. I'm joined here by Todd Thacker, the founder of Simply People, which is a nonprofit that we will talk more about as we end this episode. But episode 10 of this journey, of this exploit of generosity.
Exploit, I love that.
And so, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, there's so many things to talk about, but I think honestly, like an umbrella, just a perfect bow. We've talked. You've been doing.
You're big on bows, Dax.
They're on my mind. I love Christmas. It's not soon at all. But how can we put a bow on all of this by talking about legacy, by talking about leaving a lasting impact? Because that's what this is about. I mean, our life, whether you're a Christian or not, I think we would all agree that our life has an impact that will continue on after us. And so that's what generosity is about. Living a generous life has ripple effects. This term that we debate whether I coined it or you.
I'll give you credit.
I'll give you credit.
I'll take it.
I'll be generous. You can take it. It was absolutely you. So yeah, I mean, a legacy of generosity, leaving a lasting impact by living just a generous life. Here we are, episode 10.
Here we are, episode 10. Well, first of all, Dax, thank you so much. We've been friends for a long time now. I really I think you're gifted at doing this, and it's been super fun. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate your questions. And for the record, usually I don't know what's coming at me. And I think that's actually made it more fun.
Yeah. And find out along the way.
That's right. Exactly. So generosity, you know what? If someone had told me 10 or 15 years ago, Todd, you're going to do a podcast, number one, I wouldn't know what that was, but assuming I knew what a podcast was back then on generosity, I would have thought, okay, we can have a 10-minute conversation and be done.
Yeah.
And now after, I'd say I've done a fairly decent job the last 10 years of reordering my life and really broadening my understanding and being open to the nudges and trying to be obedient about what generosity can mean. And I truly, truly didn't understand it, Dax. And I think that's the whole point. That's the umbrella right there. Too often we think that generosity is about money, and I'm all for donations. We have a nonprofit, so please. But what I really believe is that generosity is so much more. It's about our heart. It's about our time, and it's about our talent, and it can show up in so many different ways, and there can be so many opportunities. And I think that I was so tunnel vision on the world's definition of success that I was not stepping into the full potential. And really today, I want my life, Angie and I want our lives to be more about having a legacy and an impact. And to, what have we done with our time, talent, and resources? And I would say most of my life, up until I was 50 and really started to get super serious about all this, I was chasing the world's definition of success, which I would say for the most part, those are all decent things to have, provide for your family, all those. I'm not dissing any of that. I think that's all amazing. But those are things that aren't going to have much impact, I believe, after I die.
Wow.
And so the question is, what can I do to have a legacy impact? What can I do? What can we do? And this is where generosity comes in, to have an impact with the potential to have an impact 10,000 years from now. Who knows, like all the kids I mentored, one of those kids might be the next Billy Graham. And they're going to have this huge ripple effect that could go on for generations and generations and generations. I don't know that. I don't need to know that. What I do know is from the journey of generosity, because I'm not worried about the outcome, I'm not worried about credit. And again, I used to need the credit. I don't need the credit anymore because the journey, jumping on the roller coaster life with God is amazing, and generosity is the way to do that. And in my life, where does a peace that surpasses understanding come from? It comes from trying to be generous in all things and not some, and to really have a lens through which I look at life and what are my opportunities to be generous. And that is one of the point of, how do we get to 10 weeks on generosity when I would have thought it would have been 10 or 15 minutes and I would have exhausted the topic. It doesn't work like that.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of a fun thought though. It's like, what would your legacy have been if you didn't go on this journey, the last
Right.
15 to 20 years of generosity. You
Right.
still would have had an impact. You still would have had a
Right.
legacy.
Right.
But I'm sure just like comparing what people would have said about you by the end of your life, probably like night and day difference.
I think it's night and day difference. I think honestly, it's night and day difference in my own approach to my life and my own understanding in my life and in my own understanding. You know what? Again, we've talked a lot about faith and we believe that we live in a spiritual world. And the reality is, I think Satan does a fabulous job of lulling people into a false sense of complacency. And I was lulled in a false sense of complacency because I was buying the thing that my job was to provide for my family, to, go to church, to tithe, to volunteer, whatever. Those are all great things. And I was more going through the motion. We talked last week about time, and that one of the important things of time is actually noticing people and being present. I was doing those things without being present. And now as I chase generosity and chase things that could have the potential to have a legacy impact, I'm way more present in the pursuit of those things than I ever was in the pursuit of life from what I would say is the world's perspective as opposed to eternal perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. I think to really help people understand this sort of legacy idea, or even the ripple effect of generosity, how it can exist beyond us.
Right.
I think a part of that is understanding how living a generous life, how applying what we've talked about over these 10 episodes can actually impact the people around us, our children, our community.
Right.
How do you feel like, since God has started bringing you on this journey, how have the people in your life been impacted by it?
I think I think one of the ways is that they see the joy in me. And I was happy before, etc. Don't get me wrong, but I have more joy and I have less need to be validated. I probably have more humility than I had before. And even, guess what? Life is life. And I talk about the good side about the roller coaster, but there's a lot of times in life we're going through hard seasons, difficult seasons or whatever. And I think what people would look at me and say is, since I've switched journeys, if you will, that even if I'm in a more challenging circumstance, I haven't lost my joy, I haven't lost my peace or whatever. And I think part of that's trying to be generous and trying to come alongside people and trying to say yes. And again, it's little acts. It's opening our hearts. It's being opening our hearts to see and to realize little things today could just have a different impact. I talked about Claudia taking her to Nigeria, and we did the carnival, and she had a meltdown, quite frankly, her words, that this was a waste of time or whatever. And I said, well, maybe God's trying to break your heart for what's breaking his. And now that had a profound impact on her. I recently officiated her wedding. She's graduated from nursing school. Doing mission trips is a priority for Claudia and her husband. And I would say all of that stemmed from what was a difficult or trying experience, but it's had a legacy impact on the whole trajectory of her life. And I'd say that's what's happened to me. The trajectory of my life has changed. And I don't care what my next what is. Simply People was not my idea. God's like, I want you to figure out how to empower 10 million people to change the world. Okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense. That's a scary thing. And a lot of people think you're crazy and like God really talks to you. Well, that was on my heart. And Angie's like, Todd, don't forget the people. Don't forget the people, that side of the equation. And so, yeah. That seems crazy, but I'm all for it, and I want to chase that because I'm like I don't care what we're doing, but I want it to be things that matter to God and can have eternal consequences.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else you want to highlight in this last episode. One theme that I do want to highlight is the idea of obedience over outcome.
Right.
I think that's worth emphasizing. That I think so often we try to be generous and then it just doesn't go as we thought.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't received. Maybe we feel like we failed at some point. But I think something that we need to keep in mind in every episode with every story is that it could have gone another way.
Oh my
That
gosh.
doesn't mean you were disobedient. That doesn't mean you
Right.
failed. Like all
Right.
of this, it's about obeying God. It's about doing the right thing.
Right. And I think there's plenty of stories where I was honest about where I did miss it or I did get it wrong.
Yeah.
And it was only, those things were always just an opportunity for me to learn and grow and give me an opportunity and the courage to get it right next time, or to be a light for someone else. So someone could learn from where I missed the opportunity so that they don't miss it for themselves. So, and I think you're spot on. I mean, we believe at Simply People that generosity, it's the small acts. And so why is obedience so important? Because you can say, okay, a small act. So what's a small act? You could get a small group. There's 10 kids and that are juniors in high school, and they could all give $10. We can take that $10 and we can fund a microloan for a woman in Africa. Our partner will do all the work. We just get them the money. But then what we also want to do, we want to be able to tell that story so these kids can see that they're changing a family's life, and not only a woman, but her kids. And now her kids can start to go back to school if they weren't going to school, because over there you have to have money for books, you have to have money for school fees, etc. And then we're taking someone that needed help. She needed a hand up. Dax, not a handout. She needed a hand up. She needs someone to believe in her. She needs someone to provide her some training. Our partner does all that on the groundwork. We don't do that. That's what our partner does. And then our partner, the way their program works is the commitment is that within a year, because they give her financial training too, she can save the money that she can actually pay that $100 forward to another woman. So she's going from someone in need to now someone who's a hero. Look at the profound impact of that. Look at the ripple effect that that's having on our kids. Look at the ripple effect that that's having on our neighbor who may not get the loan, but sees, oh my gosh, if she can do that, I can do that. And then, so that's profound. And those are the things that people are watching and can have an impact that you can't understand. And if we over here with all the people that are being donors, where we're trying to get involved and help in different ways, different ministries, etc., if they can start to see the impact. So again, one of the things that Simply People's done is bring water to communities. And the ripple effect metaphor works perfect with water.
Way too well.
Yeah, exactly. But what is the value proposition of water in a community? That means a girl I've talked about that access to clean water is within 30 minutes round trip walk. But the reality is that's usually a girl that's doing that. And then she's not going to school. If she has to go farther than that, she's not going to school. She's not, having the opportunity that other kids may have. So you go and bring a well, and then all of a sudden, what else can happen in the community because they have access to clean water from a health perspective?
Yeah.
There was a community that we helped, and they're like, that people were washing their clothes, were in the same river, getting their water from the same river where they were washing their clothes, where cows were drinking, where cows were going to the bathroom or whatever. Just bringing a well radically changed the community and the health situation in the community. And then what we did, their dream, get this, their dream was they had a well, but they still had to pump the well and carry it to their to their house. Their dream was to get a spigot. So just like what we have for a garden hose, a spigot by their house that they could go out and for an hour or two a day, they could turn that on and there would be water there for them. And it's just a PVC pipe thing. The lady that her dream for that was to have that in Nicaragua. She was a principal of a school, and her husband was the community resource guy for our partner who was doing the wells there. And it seems so simple to us, but these are the kind of things that can have a profound ripple impact on a community and have a legacy impact. And I believe most of the things that we do, if we're saying yes and we're being obedient, which I believe you're spot on, Dax, it's all about obedience. It's so easy to talk ourselves out of it. But the ripple effect of that, most of the time, I don't think we're going to know this side of heaven. But how cool will it be to find out 10,000 years now that because you live with me, you went on and did this and this happened, then all these people did this, and how cool is that? And how cool that God invites us into that. And so that's what I want everyone to see is it's, there's the great story in the Bible, the widows.
The widow's offering.
Yes. Thank you. The widow's offering where she gave out of her lack. And there's a variety of ways. It's a small act. It's a yes. It's not a big fat check. It's a yes with your heart. It's a yes with your time. It's a yes with my talent. It's a, and sometimes it is supposed to be a yes with your resources. And, what Angie and I have found with the regard to resources is you can't outgive God. And I know at our church, one of the things that the pastor always says is like, look, we're going to make a call to tithe, ask people to invite people to tithe. And this whole thing is like, if you are not sure, send me a letter. We'll meet in 6 months. If you don't see the fruit of your generosity in 6 months, then I'll refund all the money. He's had plenty of people send him letters. He's never had anyone ask for a refund. And I'd say that is kind of like the journey of generosity. And as I've learned to be more and more generous and said yes to the request of God. So it is a back to obedience because God's given me numbers to give. Again, but God's also asked me to come alongside kids, to notice people, to do all those things, to use my talent and my energy and my little extrovert personality to, in different ways. But you're not an extrovert, but God's using you in different ways too. And that I would say I want to encourage people. I don't want you to look at Todd and go, I have to open my house to, there's no way I could open my house to 40 kids. Or there's no way I could do 20 international mission trips. Or there's no way, I don't know how to fund a well or any of those. You don't have to do any of those things. But I do believe that there is an opportunity, that God's got an opportunity for all of us to live a generous life. And so what I would hope that all these stories would do would encourage everyone that there's that same opportunity for you. And that it's broadened your perspective, that it's not about the success or failure of the ask. It's about the obedience. It's not about writing a fat check. It's about opening my heart. It's about wearing a lens of opportunity. It's, and truly noticing people, being more aware of my circumstances, my surroundings, being open that a hello or a how are you doing or whatever could actually change someone. Being aware that when there's a nudge that I'm going to give the homeless dude some money and I'm not going to worry about what he does for it because it wasn't asked to give it to them so they would do X. I was called to give it to them, and then I'll trust that even if they make a bad choice, God's going to use that to grow them because I've made bad decisions or I've made things where I didn't listen. Putting the suitcase up in the bag and I judged that she would think I was hitting on her. So I didn't do it. And boom, I had it wrong because she had one bad arm. And so I missed the opportunity, but I learned from that, which in a really cool way. And so God's ridiculous. And if God's given me in 10 years all these stories to share of opportunity, God's got that for everybody. And that's why we do want to empower 10 million people. Because if we can get 10 million people to start to live their life in a generous way, in this world, we're so critical, we're so quick to judge, we're so quick to have these knee-jerk responses. And again, I think that's all ploy from Satan to get us to miss what God really has. He wants to invite us in. He doesn't need us. He doesn't need us, but he chooses and wants to invite us in and have us be a part of this so that we can actually have a legacy and a legacy that matters. And, in the scheme of time, we're all just a flit. Yeah. And why not make sure your flit can have an impact that lasts longer than you do? And that's kind of where I've landed.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, picture 10 million people living a life of generosity. Imagine the ripple effect. Imagine a pebble dropping in water, ripple effects going on. 10 million people living in that way could easily impact billions in the entire world.
Right. And again, you take a microloan. And so the woman is changing her life. Whoever she gives that to is changing her life. But what about their kids? And what about if we can work it out so that people over here who are helping to underwrite the cost of a microloan, if we can help them to see the impact. And, if you had a small group that funded one microloan every year, so freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year, that'd be 4 microloans. But because of the pay it forward aspect, that would be 10 families that a small group could radically change in 4 years. And then they're still paying it forward every year on top of that. And those are the kind of opportunities that God has. And the ripple effect of that, we can never figure it out. Same thing, you put a well in the community, you don't know the full ripple effect, but you've certainly simplified a lot of people's lives. And they can now start to focus on different types of productivity for their community, et cetera, because they don't have to, we take water so for granted. We take electricity so for granted in a way that so much of the world just will never have that luxury.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we actually haven't talked about giving through Simply People much in this podcast,
Right.
but I do think, there could easily be people listening saying, cool, I would love to just be generous by supporting
Right.
what Todd has going with Simply People. What is Simply People up to right now, and how can they partner?
Simply People is up to a lot. Simply People, one of the reasons that Simply People is doing the podcast is we truly want people to experience the joy, the exhilaration, the life of a life of generosity. So we're leading by example, and we don't want to ask people to do things that we're not willing to do. And so that's one of the reasons why we're doing the generosity and trying to share stories and excite people and empower people to have an impact. And what we've been called to do, which I said, is to empower 10 million people. And so what ultimately the vision is that we'll be a smorgasbord of opportunities where we have all these different partners. Right now, we've done wells in Nicaragua. We've done wells in El Salvador. We've done a well in Nigeria. We've done a bunch of microloans in Burkina Faso. We have some individual ministries that we're supporting, kids that I've mentored or whatever. One's got a skate ministry. One's going to maybe do something with Muslims, be a Muslim apologetic. Dax, you may know something about that one. And a variety of other things. So all those are opportunities. So if someone gives to Simply People, we're 100% pass through. Yeah. All we're trying to do is we're trying to be like the Uber. So Uber took, or Spotify or Airbnb, Uber took people that had cars and people that needed rides and figured out a way how to connect them. We're trying to take people that want to live a generous lifestyle, that are not sure, that would help, but they don't know how, or they don't know how to do it in a way that's actually making an impact, and those kind of things. So we want to address those big issues. We don't want to, we're underwriting our administrative costs separately, so there's no hit on any donation. Even if you give and you do it electronically and it takes 2%, we make that up so that if you give $100 and opt not to cover the fees, then we'll make the $100 and we'll pass the $100 through to fund the skate ministry, or to fund the microloan, or to go toward a well, or wherever you want it to go. We'll do it that way. And then we want to build the relationship. We want people to be able to see as close as we can, and we're working on it. We're not there yet, but the vision is that in real time, people can have an understanding of the impact that their donations are making. Because we're looking at this as a relationship. We're not looking for donations. We're looking for investments, and we're looking for a relationship, because we think that that is what will empower people that want to be the change that the world needs. The more that they can see and understand the impact and have a diversity of things that they can support, but have full confidence that 100 cents of every dollar is getting there. Yeah. We think that's really cool. And then over here, we've got all these people that are doing amazing projects, and what they need is they need resources. The other thing that we're trying to do, we're trying to look at innovative ways to do that. We've done a thing called costless giving, where instead of people actually giving money, they can do surveys. So we partner with someone, we can do it twice a year, where our supporters can do a survey, and every survey generates $1.20 for charity. And so you can do up to 75 surveys and raise $120 I think my math's wrong there, but I think it's $1.60 for every survey that ends up being $120. Well, if someone took over 3 days, did 25 surveys for 3 days straight, they could do the most surveys they could do. And it's evaluating airlines. It could be evaluating your favorite sports team, these different kind of things. And so it's kind of fun to do, but we call it costless giving because that $120 comes to us, and then we can go do something with that. We could fund a microloan, or we could go toward a well, et cetera. So we're trying to find and give people that we're trying to empower a variety of ways that they can be empowered. And then we're also working with a diversity of partners so that people have a variety of different choices. Some people are going to care about education. Some people are going to care about microloans. Some people will care about whatever else it is that we're doing, but not everyone, or water, but not everyone. So we want the people that are looking to step in, we want them to have a variety of opportunities so that it's, maybe my grandmother's from El Salvador. So I want to do something in El Salvador, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so we're super excited about it. We want to bring a Uber or an Airbnb approach to philanthropy. Mm-hmm. And we think that those are the keys to, to empowering people. And we think that the more that we can help people see the impact, then they can have confidence that, oh, I can take a small step. I can do some surveys, and I can, if someone just did the survey thing twice a year, that would raise $240 for us, which they could do 2.5 microloans a year, which, or I don't know what school fees are for a kid in school, but it could pay for someone's school fees for over in Nigeria or Burkina Faso or something like that. So there's just a lot of opportunity, and we want to shine a light on that. And then the crazy thing, what we're super excited about, is as people over here have a better understanding that they can make an impact, you get a bunch of kids that fund, see that they fund 6 microloans in the same community, and it's like, wait a minute, what do they really need? They need a school. Okay, what can we do? I didn't know that we could have that kind of impact on them. And then for, the woman and her kids to see that it's just kids helping them, how is that going to impact her kids to inspire them that, oh, I can go do this, and all these different things. So again, we talk about ripple effects. There's so many different layers and so many different kinds of ripple effects. And that's what's super exciting to Simply People. And that's why we want to focus on generosity. And that's why we want to take the blinders off of generosity. And we're truly just, I'm talking about because it was me. This is my journey that I thought I was being generous. And the reality, I was missing 95% or more the opportunity that there was for me. And now I'm not saying I'm getting 100%, but that's my goal. And I'll probably never get there, but that's my goal. And that's what I want. And I do want to get out of bed every day with a lens that how can I be used today by God? And that truly is an act of generosity, because to be able to do that, you got to allow yourself to be interrupted. Maybe, my mom always used to say, if I was tipping someone or whatever, Todd, put a crowbar in your wallet. So again, we're not talking exclusively about money, but it's not just putting a crowbar in a wallet. Put a crowbar, and I've had these kids, they're like, I don't have time. You don't understand how busy I am. I'm like, number one, I'm like 3 times your age, and I'm working harder than you're working. And I find time for these things. And, oh, by the way, let me see your phone and where are you scrolling? Yep. And so if we want to be, but I believe that in the same way that people are attracted to social media and the different things that they're scrolling, if we can meet them where they're spending their time with Simply People and help them see the impact they're making, then I do believe that when they're scrolling, part of what they'll be doing is looking at the impact and experiencing the impact that some small action, whether it's opening their heart, using their talent, using their time, to come alongside somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much opportunity to give, to be generous.
Right.
Generosity looks a variety of ways. If you want to give through Simply People, that might be a good way to put it.
Yep.
You could give directly to them or through them to these other nonprofits and stuff. We'll definitely post the link to the website down below and follow them on social media to hear about opportunities to be generous in that way. But again, just using your time, using your talent. There's so many ways for us to live more generous lives. So thank you for joining on this voyage, odyssey, adventure, journey of generosity, exploit of generosity. This has been a lot of fun, these 10 episodes, and this has been season 1 of the Simply People podcast. And as we close this thing out, Todd, I'm going to be generous. I'm going to give you the last word. How do you want to close this thing, say goodbye to the people? You get the last word.
The only thing that I truly want to say, and hopefully you've already picked up on it, but truly, I had no idea how much I was missing out on. I had no idea that I was lulled in a false sense of complacency because I was doing, providing for my family and doing the things that the world says and missing all the call that I had to do things, be involved in things that have eternal consequences. God had to use my kids to get me to Nigeria, and I can't imagine not doing that. I don't want God to have to use certain people or circumstances to get me to do that. And that God has that for all of us. God has the opportunity. He has such a rich life. And I had a good life before that, don't get me wrong. But the fulfillment and the joy and the peace and to know that almost every day, because I try to be obedient, and Dax, you've done a good job of reminding people that it's not about results. It's truly about obedience. It's about finding the time to say yes. It's about making the time to say yes. It's about, I would say this, as you go out there, allow yourself every day, God, allow me to be interrupted one time. And you start to do that, that is going to change your approach. And you realize that it doesn't have to be much to come alongside someone, to make a difference, to be part of the 10 million journey. It doesn't have to be a lot. But all I can say is it's so rewarding. It's so much fun. And it truly, I've said this so many times, use the metaphor that it's a roller coaster of life. But it is, and it's exhilarating, and sometimes you're upside down, and sometimes you're a little scared to do it, but when I faced those fears, the opportunities that it's brought, and, all these stories that you've heard over 10 weeks are the product of me figuring out how to allow myself to be interrupted, how to lead with my heart, and be more generous with my time and my talent. And those are the things that have actually, allowed this. So if I can have all these stories, God's got all those stories for you too. It's just figuring it out and stepping into it and just saying yes and just have fun. And, one of the things that I'll just say is we're going to have misses. I still have misses and this and that. Those are just opportunities to learn. Don't believe the nonsense in your head. Listen, validate the thoughts that are positive, that are future, that are constructive and love. Those are what inherent in generosity. And the other noise of guilt, or I should have done this, or the person's going to go spend the money here, that none of that matters. So have fun, be generous, and just, it starts with a simple yes. And we've all got that yes.
Amen. Thanks for joining us.